Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is a book haul that I desperately need to speed run with the amount of time I have, but this is so long overdue that I needed to just sit down and get it done. And I spent a good portion of my day today gathering up all the books that I bought and accumulated since the end of November when I did my last book haul. You can definitely check it out. I definitely need to make a playlist. Maybe I will by the time this video goes up. I'm trying to stick to seasonal book hauls, so I'm gonna call this one my winter book haul because these are all the books from the end of November to the end of February. You might see sneak peeks behind me from books that I've bought in March, but I'm trying to hold off on those for the spring, and I have plenty here to talk about anyways. I have bought from different places, so if you're not interested in certain ones, you can use the timestamps below. Yeah, let's get into it. First of all, I like to start with the ones that were gifted to me, and I do have a couple here. One of my dear friends thrifted this edition of Dumaki by Stephen King for me, and it is stunning. Still one that I need to get to, but I love the holographic text. If you're new here, I don't give synopses or go into detail about these books for the most part because we would be here for years if I did that. I ramble too much. Another friend gifted me Nosferatu by Joe Hill, which I have read and really enjoy this. This is probably one of the best horror Christmas books out there, and she gifted it to me for Christmas, so I thought that that was really cool. I needed a copy of it. And then cut to Valentine's Day, and my husband James got me this really nice coffee table book about horror movies. It is really, really cool. Love it. And lastly, in this section, we have the old-timey books. Long story short, we had a family friend pass away, and when they passed away, they left all their, they don't have family to collect their belongings, and so James's family has kind of took over clearing it out because they also bought the house to flip and, you know, redo. Again, long story short, but we were going through some of their things and it was just kind of like a sweet, you know, moment. And we found the cellar and we went down in it and there was a bag, a huge bag of these old paperback books that I couldn't help it but go through them. And a lot of them were smutty. We were like, Miss Barb, what were you getting up to? And I did give some to my friend. She was obsessed with some of the covers and she was like, I need those. But I did keep some of them. I think I'll always think of Miss Barb when I see these. And who knows, maybe I'll get to actually reading some of them. I don't really know these authors or books, but the covers, so good. How cool is that? I love this one. Is that not just absolutely beautiful? And lastly, they still need to be cleaned up a little bit. They definitely smell like they've been sitting in a cellar, that's for sure. But yeah, and the old, different color edges, oh, they're so cool. I wish I had the other ones to show you guys, but I don't have them right here with me, and I have to get them to my friend as soon as possible because I know she's been waiting on them. She loved them. Now we're going to be jumping to thrifted books. I go to flea markets, and that's what we call them here in the Midwest, and other thrift antique stores, and yeah, I haven't really hit up any yard sales. It's been too cold, but I found some gems. I was thrifting with my mom. Nope, that is my Alani. My cat is trying to drink my Alani. Hi, buddy. I found this really cool old-timey book that I just have out for decoration now, the American Equator Encyclopedia. But it's a really old one and it's really cool. Ooh, it smells, that's for sure. as well as these other just like old-timey books that like I'm obviously probably not gonna read. These are definitely decor items, but this one is Treasure Island, which is really cool. This one is Constantine, and this one is Little Women. Isn't that cool? Oh my gosh, the pages are so like yellow. Again, decor. Not gonna lie, looking at this, you guys, I really have done a terrible job thrifting lately, that's for sure, because the other piles are a lot bigger. But I did find some Stephen King, like always. I found this hardback copy of Gerald's Game that I needed. And I found this paperback copy of End of Watch. Still looking for Finders Keepers and End of Watch, the hard covers that like I want. But this will do until then. I found The Raven and Other Writings by Edgar Allan Poe, which I am now displaying up on my Edgar Allan Poe shelf, and thought it was a really cool thrift store find. You think that you would find more stuff like this? But I really don't. I think this is my first Edgar Allan Poe I've ever found out in the wild. These though, I was pleasantly surprised and excited to find, and honestly like shocked, especially finding The Reformatory, such a newer book by Tanana Reeve-Dew. So stoked. Shadow and Bone by Lee Bardugo, another one, and it's in such good condition. I was shocked to find that one as well. And this edition of Practical Magic, are you kidding me? Look at it. Oh my gosh. And I was getting all these books out and I was like, Allie, I swear you've talked about these books already, but I think it's because some of them I had to gush about in vlogs because I was just so excited, and I definitely think this was one of them. So some of this, if you watch my other videos, is probably deja vu, or I am just repeating myself over and over again. I almost forgot. I do have another stack of thrift books. So I did a little bit better with thrifting than I thought. I found A Dark Matter by Peter Straub. I found another Michael Crichton, The Great Train Robbery. That sounds like fun, and like it's so bright, and I love it. Also, I found for 50 cents, you guys, Rebecca. I've wanted to read this for so long. This will definitely be on a future TBR for sure. But also, my friend gifted me volume 1. It's not in here. I'm pretty sure it's in there on my other shelf. But she gifted me volume 1 of the Pillow Thoughts. It's like a book of poetry, and they all are like for something different. This one's Healing the Heart. And this is book 2. And then I have book 3, Pillow Thoughts, Mending the Mind. The covers are just so pretty. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, I have not read the first one yet that my friend gifted me. I need to get to it, I know, especially since I went and bought the next 3 after that. But then the 4th one is Searching the Soul. But I used to love like short little like poetry books like this that I was like, why not? They were $1 each, and I can't remember which one. This one's actually signed by the author. I thought that that was so cool. It's Courtney Peppernill. Anyways, I thought it was a cool little find, and I want to start including these into my daily routine of like at least reading like a couple pages or something and just kind of letting them be like a slow burn read, you know? Thought they were cute. Although I have not been thrifting as much as I would like, I definitely need to get back into that. I have taken advantage of the $5.99 sales from Book Outlet. I've ordered 3 times from 2 different $5.99 sales. I'm obsessed with them, and every time they announce it, I go a little too ham. So my first order, I was able to get my hands finally on a copy of Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. This is my favorite from her still, so I had to have a hardback of this, and I'm so glad I finally have it. I was able to also snag these 2 from Stephen Graham Jones. I don't know, like words are just falling out of my head right now. I have the hardback copy of My Heart is a Chainsaw, which is the first book in the series, and this one was newer, so I was like, I'll still be able to find a hardback, but I wasn't sure about this one. So when I seen that Book Outlet restocked these as hardbacks, I was like, hell yeah, I'm getting a hardback of this, and I'm getting this one, a new book. Like, I mean, it's somewhat new, for $5.99. It's insane. Also, Paul Tremblay, The Beast You Are you kidding me? I actually want to revisit this one. His short story collection is so good. I enjoyed this so much, and I vividly remember it and my fall walks through the cemetery while listening to the audiobook, that it just, it almost feels like a piece that's going to be like nostalgic for me. I also found a couple Stephen King during that order. The Dark Tower, this is book 7, the finale. It's a newer edition that I don't really like as much, but I really needed this in my collection to read soon, so I grabbed it. And I still need to clean this off better, but I got Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King, which is one of my faves, and it's illustrated, and I absolutely love this. This is also another one that's like vivid because it was like in the middle of summer and we were doing river days and I was reading this, and it was for Jan Agaton's Full Moon Readathon. I remember it. My next Book Outlet order, I wait and wait and wait for this book to get back in stock on their website so many times, and then I add it to my cart and then it sells out before I can even buy it, but I got it this time, and it was A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. So glad I finally have this, and I reread this not that long ago, but I almost feel like I'm due again. I love it. Definitely think I'm due for a recommendation video. I've never really done one, but I think I could recommend some good vampire picks. I did pick up, this is spoilery for what's to come from another stack, but I picked up the second one in this because I knew I was going to be reading the first one for something, and I seen it on there and I was like, I might as well grab it for $5.99 in case I really liked the series, and I'm glad that I did grab it. Enchantra, this is the second one from Kaylee Smith from the Phantasma series. Then I got this beautiful, beautiful edition of Dracula. Are you kidding me? It is stunning. Absolutely love that. Dracula is a top favorite for me. As well as The Exorcist. This is by William Peter Blatty. I do have the smaller edition of this, but when they came out with the glow-in-the-dark cover, I was like, I gotta get my hands on it. And every in-person Barnes & Noble I went to, they didn't have a copy, or it was like really battered and torn up that I didn't get it. And then I seen it was on their website and I was like, I'm getting it. And I'm not gonna lie, it didn't come in like the best shape, but I'm just glad to have the glow-in-the-dark cover. It's such a collector item for sure. My last Book Outlet order, I was definitely on a mission, you guys. I have decided that I'm going to be collecting all of the new retro editions of Stephen King, because when they did the last prints of all of his books, they're beautiful, beautiful, but like just not the aesthetic that I'm wanting to buy and collect. Sure, if I find them out in the wild, yeah, but they started releasing these retro editions, guys, and I'm like, this is the time where I'm going to actually invest, and I'm going to have every single one of these books in this edition, and they're just stunning. I was missing some. I already have some on my shelves, but I was missing some, so I picked up Christine, and again, this is the $5.99 sale. Insane. Firestarter. These covers are just so cool. Pet Cemetery, and then The Dead Zone. Ugh, I love them. And I've read all of these except for Christine. I still have not got to that one. And then while I was at it, I seen this edition of Joe Hill's 20th Century Ghost, and I had to have it. This cover, the edges, everything, it is so cool, and I actually really enjoyed this short story collection, so I was like, I'll have it in 2 editions. And then I seen Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones on there, and this is just one of his short stories that I still have not read, so I grabbed it. The next two sections are going to be rather short. The first one being Pango. I was on a mission, you guys, to get this book because I knew Jante's Inferno. I'll link it up above. It's a readathon I participated in, and I was like, if I'm going to find a reason to read this book, I think it'll be good to have a prompt from a readathon, so that's what I did. So I found a rather cheap copy of this on Pango, but while I was at it, the shop was actually pretty cool because they also had The Colorado Kid by Stephen King, and they had The Stephen King Goes to the Movies, which I am super stoked to get to. It'll be a non-fiction for me this year, so I feel like this Pango shop order was a win. Recently, it was the very beginning of February, a brand new local bookstore opened up, which is a huge deal. Where I live, we don't even have a Barnes. You have to travel like at least an hour and a half to the closest Barnes, so I was stoked. So obviously I had to go in and see what they had to offer, and they are just slowly growing, but like it's so beautiful. I know I've included it in some past vlogs, but while I was there, I of course had to buy something. So I bought A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. And I also got this copy of Frankenstein. It is so cool. I love it. And definitely need to go back soon. It's always like so scary opening up new businesses around here because you just don't know if they're gonna take off or not. But reading has definitely like, I mean, it's back in heavy. So I feel like it was definitely good timing to do it, but man, I really hope they thrive. Now we have reached the point of this haul where we talk about subscriptions. If you have been on my channel, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Book of the Month because they never have horror picks. And if they do have horror, it's always add-ons. So you have to get one of their other books to be able to get the horror book. Ugh, I get so frustrated. I will say this is the most books I've gotten from Book of the Month in a really, really long time. This is a subscription that I meant to cancel and I didn't. We'll talk about it. So I had credits to use because they were just piling up. So what I did was they finally had a thriller pick, Christy Demeester, The Dark Sisters, which I really want to get to. And I was excited. I was like, finally. So I was like, I got to use up these credits. So as add-ons, I needed a copy of Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. I've read it, 5 stars. I love it. I just didn't have a copy of it, so I needed it. But I also grabbed Phantasma, which I talked about earlier, because I knew that this was going to be a perfect pick for Jante's Inferno. So I wanted it for that. I was planning way ahead because I believe this was either November or December's, if I'm not mistaken. Since then, I've skipped months again, and I don't know why I don't just cancel. I don't know. But one other month, that might have been November. So we have December and January and February. One of these months, Rings of Fate by Melissa De La Cruz was one of the picks. And I was like, well, I'm getting into fantasy more. I want to read more fantasy. And then I seen this edition, and I'm a sucker for subscription boxes doing special edition. Tell me why I had to pay like an extra $4 though, because it was special edition. I feel like when you're doing a subscription, it should just be that flat rate pay. Really weird. But anyways, I got that, and then I guess while I was at it, I was in a fantasy mood. I used a credit on The Everlasting by Alex E. Haro. I really want to get to that author, so I love that cover that I was like, I guess that's the time. And then I also picked up a backlist one that they had, Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen, because this is a book recommended from a friend. So I was like, I'll get to it. She was like, you love Addie LaRue, you need to read Our Infinite Fates. And I was like, okay, you sold me. I absolutely adore Aardvark so very much. They always have really cool picks from well-known authors, debut authors, but they always have horror, and I love them, and I just hope they keep that up. So let's break it down, because in my last haul, I'm pretty sure I didn't have my November books in yet. So November picks. I chose The Place Where They Buried Your Heart by Christina Henry. I believe I've read one from her before, but I still haven't gotten to this one, but I am super excited to. I love this cover so much. I also picked up Olivia Blake, Girl Dinner. I just read this in my latest Female Rage video, if you want to check it out. And I also grabbed a copy of Bride because I had already read it and I wanted it. I love Allie Hazelwood. She is my guilty pleasure. December, I picked up Itch by Gemma Amor. Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fieto. And Mate by Allie Hazelwood. I believe, yeah, I liked these editions because they had like the little sparkles on the edge, but also they have like the ombre effect. They were like the special edition, so I was like, I'll have them as add-ons. And so yeah, I got one month and I got the other one the next month. Speaking of special editions, you guys, their book of the year was announced as The Buffalo Hunter, and although I already own this, I actually didn't even get the original Aardvark copy of this because I had already pre-ordered it through Barnes & Noble to get a signed one. But when they announced it as their book of the year and it was coming out with a special edition cover, I jumped on it, set my alarm. I also was able to get one of these signed copies, but you guys, it is the most gorgeous special edition of this book. I actually keep it with the dust jacket off and on my shelf as like decor because it is so stunning. I love it so much. It was one of my favorite books of last year. And that's the only book I got that month. But for February, I picked up two more. I picked up Trad Wife by, is it Saratoga Schaefer? And This House Will Feed by Maria Dredu. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm so sorry. I also haven't got to this one, but what I'm realizing with a bunch of these is I have a lot of books with houses on the cover. Sounds like a theme to me. Now on to where I probably spent the most money, and that's Barnes & Noble. I picked up Futility, and I don't really want to talk about this one for long, because I just... I wanted to love it because I love this cover so much, but unfortunately I did not. I still haven't got to this one and I need to so bad, but it's 13 Months Haunted by Jimmy Giuliano, and I've heard it's even better than, I think it's Dead 11, so I'm stoked. I went down my rabbit hole of horror nonfiction, picking up Scream With Me. This is about horror films and the rise of American feminism from 1968 to 1980 from Eleanor Johnson. This cover alone, stunning. While I was at it, I also got Your Favorite Scary Movie because the Scream franchise is my favorite. This is by Ashley Collins, and love that cover. Also, a nonfiction from a bunch of my favorite horror authors that I adore. This is called Why I Love Horror, and it's pretty much just like little essays on horror and like what got them into horror, and it has so many incredible authors in it. Definitely a collection piece that like I just adore. I've been going down the rabbit hole lately of classics. So we've got Wuthering Heights, which I love this copy of so much. I had to. These are so stunning, and two of my favorite classics, Frankenstein and Dracula, that I had to. And I actually also put these in my little glass like TV stand thing to display them because they are so cool. I love them so much. I've been eyeing them for a while, and finally I was like, I'm treating myself and I'm ordering them. Since Book Outlet did not have Misery for the retro edition, I did have to snag it from Barnes & Noble, but I am officially caught up on all of my Stephen King retro editions. I feel like I'm losing my voice. But one of my last trips I got She Made Herself a Monster by Anna Kovachia. I'm butchering that, I'm so sorry, but I actually knew nothing about this. I seen the cover and I was like, what is that? And then I read the synopsis and I was like, I gotta have it. It is stunning. The Graceview Patient by Caitlin Starling. Her covers are always to die for. Lastly, Paul, I don't know how you pronounce this either. Definitely am going to have a gaming video soon because there's so many on my radar, but I grabbed this one because I was like, why not? It looks fun. And last but certainly not least, I always love to include this little section where I give props to Fangoria for making such cool horror magazines. I picked up, they're doing their volume 2 run, and this is number 29. I also picked up their like limited edition Frankenstein. The whole thing is literally just like about Frankenstein and all of the movies. It's so cool. And then the newest, the newest that's out currently features a bunch of movies that are currently out, and it is so good. I love this like duo-sided, but I kind of wish that this was the back. So it just, I don't know, it throws me off. That being said, I have 2 more other things that I was like, I could put them with what they go with, but they're different. First being coloring books, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I actually snagged these from Pango. They came together for a really good deal. And since I am rewatching the movies and doing like a whole vlog on them, I wanted something to like color while I was at it, and I've gotten started. Also at Target, I seen this Stardew Valley cookbook and I had to have it. I want to display it in my kitchen. I love Stardew Valley. It's so cool, but it has like the actual recipes that you make in game. I was like, say less. I think that's everything, you guys. Now I have a bunch of books to put back up on my shelves. And I have more that I have to plan for my spring haul. Not as much as this so far, but there is definitely more that I'm super excited to show you guys. Let me know what books you've hauled recently. I would love to know. And let me know if you've read any of these or you're looking forward to any of these. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.